I was put on this planet for one thing and one thing only, and that was to teach you how to draft a good fantasy football team. So we're going to go in, and I'm going to show you the tips of the trade. The tricks of the trade. Dear God, I can't even get through it without fumbling over my words. We are in the largest fantasy football tournament on the planet. We are in Best Ball Mania. $25 buy-in, $15 million up top for a total prize pool. You're getting $2 million for first, $1 million for second, the $500K for third, $400K for fourth, all the way down the line. Just in case you don't know how this works, you're going to go up against 11 other people in your 12-team league. The two highest scoring teams in weeks 1 through 14 will advance to the fantasy football playoff tournament. From there, in week 15, you'll play against 12 other people. If you can outscore them, you'll advance to week 16, where you'll play against 15 other people. Or if you can outscore them, you'll advance to week 17, where you'll play against 538 other people. And that's how you get a $25 buy-in with $2 million for first, $1 million for second, $500K for third, $400K for fourth, $300K for fifth, and all the way down the line. Now, highest I've ever finished in this tournament is 16th place. Hopefully we have a better finish this year. We got to the finals a couple years back when we got 16th. We got to the finals again last year, but sadly, we did not win anything last season. Last season in week 17, we got absolutely stomped on. But hell, if we could have just had one good week, we could have also won millions. We're in here. We are going to take Jamar Chase, and it looks like it's official. Jefferson has slid in as almost the unanimous 102, and maybe Bijan's going to flip Barkley, where possibly Barkley ends up with an ADP down here at 4. But thank you for everybody coming out to hang out with us in this stream. Really do appreciate y'all getting in. K-Rob says, if they don't drop the Puppy 2 this weekend, I'm going to lose my mind, sir. Good news for y'all. I reached out to Underdog today, and we may be getting the Flock tournament back in soon. They didn't tell me when. They said they're going to work on getting it set up. But if y'all enjoyed the Flock tournaments last year, we should have the Flock tournaments back on Underdog relatively soon. But King Group says, Mason, where have you been? My girlfriend was starting to get withdrawals. A little weird, my friend. I was literally just with her for dinner. So tell her that I'm tired of her being so clingy. I can step away to live stream for 15 minutes. I literally just spent 2 hours with her at dinner. Thomas says, thoughts on Ricky Pearsall? I've drafted him a lot this year, so I hope he's good, but we really just simply don't know. It sounds like Brandon Ayuk may not be ready for the start of the year. At the same time, I'm not a big Juwan Jennings believer. I think Brock Purdy in this offense is going to be pretty damn good. So with all that in mind, you would assume that Jennings has a really good situation, but I don't know. But yes, Achane goes at pick 10 in this draft. The team at 10 goes Achane London. Should be a unique start overall, where Achane and London have pretty much been locked and loaded into second round picks so far this entire tournament. Tyler says, what's the Flock tournament? The Flock tournament is a tournament that we have on Underdog. We did it last year. We did a bunch of them. We'll probably do a bunch of them again this year, where it's a 3-entry max, $10 buy-in. The advancement structure is in weeks 1 through 14, you'll go up against the 11 other people you drafted with. The top 2 highest scoring teams will advance to the fantasy football playoff tournament, where in week 15, it will just be you versus one other person. Week 16, just you versus one other person. And week 17, you'll be in a 100-person final, and I think it's $10,000 for first place. But Coach 60 says, buddy of mine says Adams over McConkey. Any words for him? Have fun losing money this year. Liam says, serious question. What's with Saquon falling? A month ago, he's the 102, and now he's falling behind Bijan. I think people are maybe just a little concerned with overall regression, given the volume that he had last year and the big plays. But Bowers goes at pick 20. Like I said, I think Rashee Rice is going to flip Bowers with his ADP. Jonathan Taylor goes 21. Bucky Irving off the board at 22. Justin says you should let the winner of the Flock tournament get into the Flock League. We'll have a bunch of... let's see. We're going to go... Interesting. I think we go... No, we're going to go Tyreek. We're going to go Tyreek with Chase, and then afterwards, I think we reach on the elite quarterback. I think we're going to reach on Allen again. We did this in our live stream last night, and I absolutely loved how the team turned out. So let's go Chase, Tyreek, and Josh Allen. But Kadarius Tony says, isn't the flock tournament 1 out of 12 advance to the playoffs? I thought it was 2 out of 12, but I could be wrong. Blake says, do any of Davis's takes / my guys stand out to you? When I was on his stream earlier today, I don't think he talked about any of the players that he really liked. If you fill me in, I know he really likes Jack Besh. If you fill me in on some more of his takes or players that he really likes, I don't think we had the chance to talk about it. I was on there for like 45 minutes. I'd be happy to give you my opinion on any of it. Cam says also, Tyreek is around pick 50 in Yahoo. Is that good value? I think it's great value. I mean, we just took him at 24. Obviously, in these underdog drafts, with them being best ball, wide receivers are going to get steamed up in general in comparison to your ESPN Yahoo drafts. So what we're going to do is when we put out all our draft guides and draft guide cheat sheets for your redraft league this year, we'll put it all on the website, of course. And if you signed up to Underdog in 2025, used promo code FLOCK and made at least a $10 deposit, the email address that you signed up to Underdog Fantasy with, you'll get all the draft guide cheat sheets and everything that you'll need as well. But you really want to be making an adjustment like in your ESPN, Yahoo drafts of moving the wide receivers down in comparison to what you'll see in best ball, where they're just more valuable on Underdog. But obviously, if y'all aren't on Underdog already and y'all want to be able to get all the draft guide cheat sheets and rankings for just $10, definitely the best way you can do it is by hopping on Underdog. Actually be some good practice for your main redraft league this year as well. And if you use code FLOCK, you'll get a 50% deposit bonus up to $1,000. Plus, at the same time, you'll get all those draft guide cheat sheets that we were referencing. I always leave the link to Underdog Fantasy in like the comment section, description, live chat. It's just the link that says draft with us here. Or you could also scan the QR code on the screen as well if you are not drafting Underdog teams already. But if you were going to draft on Underdog, you do need to be in one of these states. These are the current states that Underdog is operating in. You can see the map here, or you can pause, see if Underdog's in your state. Okay. Andrew says, Tyreek, pass on Jacobs. Interesting. In my regular ESPN redraft league, there's no world in which I would take Tyreek Hill over Josh Jacobs. Like in the flock league, if I have the opportunity to go Jacobs, I will take Jacobs over Tyreek. I just know in these underdog drafts, I'm going to be able to find running backs that I like later on. Tyler says, any new tournaments tomorrow for the 4th? I have no idea. All I know is I talked to Underdog about getting some flock tournaments out for everybody. Vinny says, some Yahoo in my drafts keeps taking Josh Allen at 25, steaming up his ADP. We're trying to, my friend. We're trying to. Let's move this down. Let's see what this team does at pick 47. They go Sutton, so we're going to take James Cook and DK Metcalf. Super easy picks. Auto picks for us. Oh my gosh, this is exciting. You can maybe make an argument to go Hampton here as well when we don't have the second running back, but just based off the way that ADPs line up, like with James Cook having an ADP right next to Metcalf, like in the middle of the 4th round, the amount of James Cook Metcalf teams going to be very thin on Underdog. And it's not like we can't use the other wide receiver. You have to draft 3 wide receivers on Underdog regardless. So grabbing DK Metcalf here at 49 will be very exciting. And then taking James Cook, I know that in the past, like James Cook hasn't had a ton of receiving touchdown volume, so maybe the spikes don't line up that much. Let me pull up James Cook on the site real quick just so we can get a little snapshot of like if he could correlate well with Allen. And what we can do as well is we can look at what we've had with DK Metcalf in comparison to some of the other wide receivers. So Metcalf, the other receivers in this range are going to be Waddle, Pickens, and who else goes in this range? Flowers typically goes here. Sutton went right before us, right? So let's throw up Flowers. And we can look at, they're all old enough outside of maybe Flowers. Maybe actually Flowers' 2023 season was. I'm not going to look at Flowers as a rookie, right? I feel like that's maybe a little bit unfair. So for Zay Flowers specifically, let's just look at his 2024. We'll look at the 2023 and 2024 for Metcalf, Waddle, and Pickens. And if we are doing that, you do have DK Metcalf standing out, 13.4 fantasy points per game. Obviously, the Pickens and Metcalf situations are different in that Pickens gets a quarterback upgrade. Metcalf, maybe it's a lateral move, but at the same time, Pickens also has significantly more target competition and Metcalf has none. So I do like Metcalf there. And also, please don't forget to go down there and hit that like button. And if you're watching this video later on and you wanted to make sure you can make it out to the live streams, if you hit the bell next to the subscribe button, YouTube will actually tell you when we are live. So I know typically I always say, oh yeah, this year we're going to stream at this time. And then I just never do, to be honest with you. But Arm Cover says, Allen's good for 20 points a week. Just off rushing. Cook is fine with the stack that Gobert. Yeah, let me pull this up. I'm for sure going to take James Cook at 48, regardless of who my quarterback is. Main thing with James Cook there is I do want to see what the receiving involvement has been. If you think that he's going to be positively correlated for spike weeks with Josh Allen. Yeah, 8.1% team target share, only 2.4 targets per game, 2 receptions per game, and 16 receiving yards per game for James Cook last year. So the receiving involvement, not great, but it is what it is. I think pick 48 is exciting. Okay. DeAndre Swift off the board at 68. Joe Burrow goes at 69. I'm assuming to the T. Higgins team. Let's see. Yeah, that was the team that took T. Higgins. And since we have Chase, Tyreek, Metcalf, I do think I'm open to double tapping the running back position here with both Montgomery and Judkins. Let's look at, or we could reach on Shakir. Pick 96, 97. What will the options look like? Running back will be down to like Jalen Moore and Jordan Mason. I do think that you're going to have a running back teardrop. So I'm going to take both running backs with Montgomery and Quinshawn. So despite us waiting until the 4-5 turn to take our first running back, I think when we go with Montgomery and Quinshawn Judkins here at 72 and 73, it does open us up to only having to draft 5 running backs. So now at receiver, we have Jamar Chase, Tyreek Hill, DK Metcalf. Running back, we have James Cook, Dave Montgomery, Quinshawn Judkins. And we have the elite quarterback with Josh Allen. Blake says, few of Davis's main picks have been Worthy, Mims, Jameson, Hampton, Pickens, Olave. I've also been drafting a lot of Worthy. I know a lot of people have been telling me that it's bad, but hook 'em horns, I like them. Marvin Mims, I do not like. I think that is a bad pick personally. 27% of the snaps last year. Jameson Williams, whatever. I'm not going to have a super hot best ball take on him. I'm not personally taking Devonta Smith instead. Amari and Hampton, I absolutely love at his current price. Pickens, I'm not taking a lot of Pickens early round 5. However, if you look at projections, Pickens does project out extremely well. And then with Chris Olave, I've been taking a decent amount of Olave, round 6 as well. But Drew says Team 4 is cooking in this. Team 4, Barkley, Taylor, running back, Burrow, quarterback to stack with Higgins, and then Pickens, Travis Hunter, and Deebo Samuel. Yeah, Team 4 does look good. Sentient says he loves Team 6. Team 6 is Puka, Rashee Rice, Devontae Adams, Devonta Smith, Zay Flowers, James Conner, Patrick Mahomes. I don't like Team 6. Cam says, where do I get the cheat sheet? So you can either purchase a subscription to flockfantasy.com and we'll have all your draft guide cheat sheets posted there. Or if you use promo code FLOCK on Underdog and made that $10 deposit in 2025, it'll be emailed to the email address you signed up to Underdog Fantasy with whenever the cheat sheets are completed. Cam says, how much does it cost? The cheapest way to get it on the site would be the Mother Flocker monthly subscription, which would be $16. Okay. But Baker Mayfield goes pick 85 to the Mike Evans team and Chris Godwin team, right? Yeah. So you do have to assume that if you want to get Baker with Godwin and Evans on the same squad, you do have to take him here at 85 because Igbuka is going to go at some point here in the 8th rounds. Jaden Higgins goes 88. That is the earliest I've seen Jaden Higgins go. But yeah, you do assume you have to take Baker Mayfield at 85 because Igbuka is going to go some point in round 8. And if the Igbuka team could go Baker well past ADP in round 9, they probably would. And also you'd potentially have to be worried about the Bucky team as well. Isaiah Pacheco goes right before Jordan Mason. Yeah, Pacheco would have made it to us. I definitely would have taken him, and I would have felt like maybe we didn't need to go with the running back pairing at the turn the way we did. Brian Robinson off at pick 93. Let's see. TJ Hawkinson goes 94. Hawkinson would have been in play for us. Kyler off. Keon Coleman's going to for sure be a pick for us to pair with Josh Allen. And I think we probably take Ayuk as well. I mean, we're getting Ayuk at about wide receiver 50 here. So I know he's been a big time faller. Actually, in a $500 slow draft that I'm in right now, I believe I took a Brandon Ayuk at exactly pick 100. So Ayuk's been a big time faller, but again, we are trying to optimize for points in weeks 15, 16, 17. If we want to turn $25 into $2 million, we have to have a massive ceiling for that fantasy football playoff push, which I do think Brandon Ayuk can give us. But I wouldn't be shocked at all if Brandon Ayuk's ADP ends up here in the middle of the 9th round by the time we get to August, especially if we get continuous negative reports about the knee. But right now, wide receiver, we have Chase, Tyreek Hill, DK Metcalf, Keon Coleman, Brandon Ayuk. We have the elite quarterback with Allen. Running back, we have James Cook, Dave Montgomery, Quinshon Judkins. Obviously, we're built around the Bills' offense with Josh Allen, James Cook, and Keon Coleman. And I know we showed this in Davis's stream earlier today, but I think that it's kind of surprising to look at some of the production that we had from the rookie wide receivers last year. Like, if we're pulling this up with the player comparison, the difference between like Rome Odunze and Keon Coleman, where obviously Rome's going well ahead of Keon, and you have the Bears adding in a bunch of wide receivers, whereas the Bills didn't really. Like, you had Keon Coleman 1.81 yards per route run, Marvin Harrison 1.67, Rome Odunze 1.28. Keon Coleman 11.48 yards per target, Marv 7.1, Rome 7.5. Like, despite only running 23 routes a game in comparison to Rome at 32, Keon Coleman had a 15.5% team target share, and Rome was like at 18.5. Not that far off. So Keon may be a big time value in drafts at the moment. Okay. Let's see. Evan Ingram off the board at 108. That team that took Purdy at 98, I guess they had Ricky Pearsall 74. And you're not going to get Purdy on the way back around at 119. CJson says, what's the worst value in terms of ADP in your opinion? Worst pick on the board for a while, I thought was either between Jaden Blue, Marvin Mims. Both of them have fallen a considerable amount, however. So maybe Deebo Samuel was one of the worst picks on the board for a while, but he's also fallen a considerable amount. Who do I take none of right now? So those calls were almost easier at the beginning of the offseason. In terms of guys that go early, like early round picks that I have not much of in the first 3 rounds are Henry, Terry. In terms of guys that go late, I don't have a ton of Trey Harris. I don't have a ton of Marvin Mims. Okay. Dak Prescott goes 117. We have a couple different options of what we can do here. I don't want to say much until we're on the clock. And we have such a well-balanced team. Like, we don't really have to force anything. Sharp goes, we could go Caleb and then Loveland. I love Tyler Warren here. We could just go Tyler Warren, David Njoku. We're going to do it. We're going to go Caleb and then Loveland. Caleb pick 120 feels great considering how all the other quarterbacks are getting steamed up at the board. I know we're reaching big time on Loveland, and I've talked about this in a lot of live streams, but typically you'll see me, if I'm drafting at like the 4 spot, 5 spot, 6 spot, 7 spot, 8 spot, I'm very reluctant to ever go out there and reach dramatically on ADP just because it's like, oh, okay, well, if I really like Loveland, instead of reaching 12 picks on him, I can probably just get him in the next round. Whereas when you're at the 1 spot, when you're at the 2 spot, when you're at 11, when you're at 12, you do get into these situations in which it maybe does make sense for you to just go out there and reach to get your guy. So we're going to reach on Loveland here to pair him up with Caleb Williams. I think this is probably a more appropriate range for where you should be going anyway. Y'all know this is kind of my round that I like to get these tight ends, whether it's Tyler Warren, Loveland, or David Njoku. I like them all. So we will take them together. Coach 60 says, genuine question. How did you end up on the powerlifting team in college, recruited out of high school or while already there? So when I was on the powerlifting team at UT, it's nothing like being on the D1 football team or the D1 basketball team. There are open tryouts. The bar to get on the team is not that high. So I did not do any powerlifting or anything in high school. I just kind of was bro lifting. And then in college, I think like a lot of people, I really got into lifting because what else was I going to do? And they had tryouts. I wanted to join something, so I just went and tried out. But not like nothing super impressive. Nothing like, oh yeah, I put out a video of me squatting 600 pounds when I was 17 and UT came calling. They wanted me to go to UT. It's like, no, I was on UT's campus. Probably saw a little flyer in the gym saying like, oh, try out for the powerlifting team. Waddled over, watched a presentation of them going like, hey, show up to this gym on Saturday, bring these things, do these 3 lifts for us. But not that impressive at all. But IBC Flow says, how much do you bench? So if you go to the first video, a Coach 60 says, understood. I'm struggling to get my lifters recruited right now. Yeah, again, like I would have no idea how that worked. I knew some people on the team like did powerlifting in high school, and then they talked about like that process. But for me, it was very much below average lifter. Just went to the gym, wanted to do it. And King Rube says they saw the pic of Mason next to Bijan, said, wow, give me some of that. Exactly. This was like blasted all over the school, and they were like, oh my gosh, we got to get this guy in here. That's what it was. But no, I wish it was cooler than it was. And IBC Flow, if you go to the first video on this channel ever, you can see me bench 225 for 12 doing the NFL Combine. I weighed like 160 pounds, but now, considering the fact that I do Ironman stuff and ultramarathon stuff, I do not bench much at all. Okay. Jake Ferguson goes, Javante off as well. Javante would have been a massive faller for us to get at 144. Yeah, this is just going to be easy. Y'all know I absolutely love Rachaad White here. Maybe we should have not taken Caleb and Loveland earlier, and we should have just taken Tua to pair up with Tyreek at this point. But we're going to take Dallas Goedert at 145. I think that Dallas Goedert outscores these wide receivers. So now wide receiver, we have Jamar Chase, Tyreek Hill, DK Metcalf, Keon Coleman, Brandon Ayuk. Running back, we have James Cook, David Montgomery, Quinshon Judkins, Rashad White. Quarterback, we have Josh Allen, paired up with James Cook and Keon Coleman. We have Caleb Williams paired up with Colson Loveland. And then also at tight end, we have Loveland and Dallas Goedert. So overall, I really do like the team. Okay. See, Jason says, putting my mortgage on you winning the Flock League this year. Don't fail me. Okay. My friend. Last I checked, the odds of me winning the Flock League this year were like minus 800. And as long as you got odds like that, it was the smartest decision you've ever made your entire life. Now, if the lines move to like minus 2,000 of me winning the Flock League, then that's maybe a little bit tougher. But I'd say at least I got a 90% shot. Okay. Mr. Pickle Hut Fader got his at minus 920. That's probably a good line. It's probably a fair line. IBC Flow says, do you do the weekly drafts on Underdog? No, I don't. During the season, I'm too focused in on like redraft stuff, answering fantasy football questions that I don't do, like the battle royales and stuff. I think like I absolutely love Underdog drafts. I know a lot of people love the weekly drafts. Just for me with my workflow during the year, like full transparency, I'm working 80 to 100 hours a week during the football season. I do not have a normal like person life. So I just don't have the time to add anything in. And like the last thing I want to do after like doing a 6-hour live stream answering fantasy football questions, making 2 videos that day, is like fire up some battle royale drafts. But I know a lot of other people really like doing it during the season. But like right now in the summer, I don't really have much to do other than prep for my main league. Right. So I think getting in these Underdog drafts now is perfect for me. Kadarius Tony says, how many likes for you to light a firework in the studio? 1,000 likes, I'll do it tomorrow. Can't do it today, but I'll do it tomorrow. Tua fallen with us having Tyreek. Britton Strange goes 65. Tank Bigsby goes, does this team take Tua? They have Waddle. They don't. And yeah, I'm not doing it. Brutal. Well, our decision to take Caleb was horrible. At this point, we can say that confidently. I'm going to take Wandale, and then we maybe go Michael Wilson. I do like Michael Wilson here. Do we go Zach Ertz? I'm not a big Ertz guy. I think I probably prefer Michael Wilson. Just get 2 wide receivers I know will be on the field drawing targets. Neither guy had big spike weeks last year at all, so they repeat it this past year? Probably not. But let's all be on the same page. And I'm man enough to admit this. Whenever you have Tyreek and Tua falls to you 29 picks or 19 picks after ADP, and you can't take him because you invested too much into the quarterback position earlier in the draft. Not an ideal scenario, to say the least. So I would have loved to take Tua there, but our decision to grab Caleb Williams at 120 after already building this team around Josh Allen just limited us to the point where we just simply need the wide receiver points. Now, J. Rob says, Mason, it's time for some titties and beer this weekend, brother. I'm about to be motorboating them fun baggers all weekend. You feel me? This may be the most out of pocket. This may be the most this must be the craziest thing that I've ever read out loud on this stream. Sounds like a lot of fun, my friend. Sounds like you are going to have a great 4th of July. Vinny says doubtful. Yeah. But Adam Thielen off the board of 180. Have y'all noticed Thielen falling a ton of these drafts? Like Thielen used to go ahead of Leggett. Leggett here 148, and Thielen falls down to 180. Dude's about to have a movie. Yeah. All right. J-Rob, here's what we need. Yeah. We need a video of we need a vlog video of your weekend. And we will see if that's good enough to get you that 12th spot in the Flock League. We may have found it. Okay. Reed's at Jamaica Beach down near Galveston. I did the half Ironman in Galveston last year. It was a lot of fun. We went to a really good restaurant there. Magundy says, damn, I got to hang out with J-Rob this weekend. Yeah, J-Rob, send the address, my friend. You can't be leading us all on like this and not send the invite. I'm probably going to end up taking 6 running backs on this team. I think we're done at receiver. And we need another tight end. Wide receiver, we have Chase, Tyreek, Metcalf, Keon, Ayuk, Wandale, Michael Wilson. So obviously we're asking Chase and Tyreek to do a lot of the heavy lifting here. But I think we are too weak at running back with Cook, Montgomery, Judkins, Rashad White, where I probably want to grab a 6th. Yeah. Zabronsky says, I've seen enough. Get him in there. That's funny. Okay. Miles Sanders will take. I actually do like Justice Hill a lot in these drafts. Yeah, we're just going to be boring. Take the 2 running backs at the top of ADP. But they're legitimately the 2 guys I'd want most in this range anyway. Alcoholic Saints fan says, my girlfriend's going to kill me when she catches me with J-Rob tomorrow. That's hilarious. So let me fire up some tight ends here. I like Terrence Ferguson a lot. Waller goes right after us. I like Chig, Schultz. Mix in Elijah Arroyo. And then we'll just queue up these tight ends to make sure we get one. We'll probably end up walking away with Terrence Ferguson. We look at the way the AP lines up. But yeah, I think we're good enough to bounce it in the next draft. I think we're just going to get in another BBM draft. But here is the team for anybody interested. And let's go. Best Ball Mania. We have 75 BBM drafts left. So I have officially done half of our Best Ball Mania teams. And we're going to pick 5. I'm good with pick 5. Not going to complain. What I will complain about is I immediately see some of y'all in this draft with us, which is frustrating. We have Eagles at 12. We have Kale in here at 8. We have Kadarius Toney in here at pick 2 as well. But Purple Turple says, why didn't you play weekly winners? So I have mixed in some weekly winner slow drafts this year. I'm not doing them on the live stream for the main reason being is I can guarantee you I have no idea what the hell I am doing with weekly winners. I barely know what I'm doing here. But I am getting in some weekly winner slow drafts at the moment. It is so out of my wheelhouse. I am so lost that if I were to stream the drafts, it would just be straight up embarrassing. Okay. And let's see. Drew says, if Terrence Ferguson hits, Mason's going to be hanging out with J-Rob a lot. You better believe that, my friend. OG Matt says, why do I get the most points allowed every year in my ESPN league? It's because you're not good at defense. Play better defense. We'll take Bijan Robinson here at 5. Will be a pretty easy spot to do so. And then to be completely honest with you, when we get like the falling value of Bijan at 5, when there aren't going to be a ton of teams with Bijan here, I'm not acting like it's the most rare thing ever. But if we get any ADP falling value at pick 20, it's an auto pick for us. Okay. Tough Cookie says, I'm in with Vinny and not Flock. Yeah, that sounds like a tough cookie, my friend. Bagel says, focus on bye weeks, AK only draft 3 bye weeks and weekly winners. Yeah, I understand that general idea. Okay. Drew says, the Flock League, Mason was talking about defense every week. It was so funny. The Flock, I'm freaking excited for it. Everybody's coming to Austin in August 13th or 18th in like 5 weeks. I'm excited for it. Humama says, I got some ideas on weekly winners. Not sure if they're good or not. Yeah. My idea with weekly winners, like, oh, I get Lamar, I get Allen, 1 quarterback build. Oh, I get Bowers, 1 tight end build. And I'm just clicking buttons like a monkey. Okay, so Ginty makes it down to 12. Like we have seen for a while, Ginty has been a faller. Okay. The Flock draft will be a video. Yeah, if you wanted to join a draft with us on Underdog, you would just join the same time that we do. HN still down at 16. Expected HN to maybe get a bump up, but I mean, we picked 10 in the last draft, I want to say. Lad McConkey at 18. I have plan A and plan B. We'll see what happens. I'll just let you know. Plan A, plan B. Team goes Bowers, so we are going to take Rice at pick 20. But coach says, got to aim for your boom guys in weekly winners. I want approximately $250 back on my 5 weekly winners, guys. Elite quarterback, deep ball, wide receiver, long run running backs, and always George Kittle. Always George Kittle is a good call in weekly winners. But let's see how far Jonathan Taylor falls. Taylor makes it down to 23 in this draft. Would have been interesting to get Bowers at 20 to start with Bijan and Bowers. But I think I've said this a decent amount of times. So I wouldn't be surprised at all if Rice flips Bowers in ADP. John, yeah, it looks like Rice is not expected to get suspended this year, and Rice is fully healthy. So Rice obviously has been one of the biggest winners that we've seen. Okay, Trey McBride goes 27. And then Tyreek is the player that we've been taking in round 3 all along, but especially now that you have no Jonnu, Tyreek is just our auto pick here. I think we've showed this, but Tyreek Hill is a player that I am overweight on in comparison to the other round 3 receivers. I just think the projections in the top end range of outcomes are so much higher with Tyreek than you're going to see with the other names. Like Tyreek. Let's see if we can refresh this to get our most recent draft in here. We have Tyreek about 13.5% of drafts. We have Garrett Wilson in 8.0%. So we have Tyreek 5% more than Wilson. Who else goes here? We have Marvin Harrison in 9.4, which is surprising. Who are we underweight with in round 3 in that case? Who are the other receivers that go in round 3? I think I'm slightly underweight Adams. Adams 5.8%. I know I'm underweight Terry. Terry 3.1%. JSM, I'm at 10.7. So yeah, really I'm just very much underweight Terry McLaurin. Very much overweight Tyreek Hill. And everybody else is about the same. Brees goes 34. Terry goes 35, which is, in my opinion, seems like a more reasonable price point to take Terry. My issue with Terry and why I'm so underweight him is he typically would go at the beginning to mid-third. C. Millie says, what are your thoughts on someone like Rice in a tournament like this, where the early drafters took him way later than he's going now? Do you think it to mitigate risk to avoid him, or it doesn't matter? So I actually did not draft a lot of Rashee Rice last year, for the reason being that the delta in value that he had from early drafters to drafters like right before the season started If you remember, it was like 4 or 5 rounds. It was massive, the difference. Here, yes, there were teams that were able to draft Rashee Rice at the 3-4 turn, but the actual amount of teams that were able to do that, not many, 10% of the tournament. So I actually think that the Rice adjustment in ADP this year, because it happened so early, it happened in like beginning of June, mid-June, is not as big of a deal as it was last year. Like I faded Rice off that principle last year and got very lucky the injury happened, or I would have gotten absolutely crushed. And y'all know I do like Xavier Worthy here a lot, but let me think. We're not going to do that. We're going to take Devonta Smith instead of 44. We already have our Worthy exposure. I like Smith a lot here. Let me see the difference. We have Smith in 15.4%. And we have Worthy in 13.8. So yeah, I officially do have more Devonta Smith than I do Xavier Worthy. Okay. Extra sour cream says he was going way later than the 3-4 turn. Rashee Rice, when Best Ball Mania opened, was going at the 3-4 turn. Like last year was different. Yeah, last year Rashee Rice was going much, much earlier. But for Best Ball Mania drafts early this offseason, like in May, Rashee Rice was going here. So yeah, we're definitely taking him at a much higher point, having to go up against those same teams. But let's move this over. Thank God we pivoted from Worthy to Jalen Hurts. Specifically made that pivot with the realization, you know what? We take Devonta Smith here at 44. We set ourselves up with Jalen Hurts at 53. So works perfectly. It's going to be something I'm trying to do very, very often. And I absolutely love this team. This team, Bijan at running back, Rashee Rice, Tyreek Hill, Devonta Smith at receiver, Jalen Hurts at quarterback. Beautiful start. Henry says this guy's raising Devonta Smith's ADP single-handedly. Hopefully not. Hopefully it stays going at the 4-5 turn. I need more Devonta Smith bags. I need more Jalen Hurts, not less. Okay. We have Rome at 58. Kenneth Walker goes 59. I wonder where Travis Hunter ends up falling. I bet you by the time we get to August, there's a chance that Travis Hunter's going at the beginning of the 6th. It's a very realistic thought. Sorry, I need to get back to a dev. Mixon goes 63, Jennings off 64. Like, we don't necessarily need to worry too much about our quarterback options later because we get hurt. So when we're taking a wide receiver at 68, Olave and Judy, like these names that their quarterback options would be a little bit disappointing, are completely fine picks. Like, they are in our striking range. The great Nate Scott says, any 4th of July plans, Mason? Yes, we are going to go. The lady and I rented like a double kayak in Austin. They always shoot the fireworks over the river, which kind of cuts through downtown. Beautiful. And we always go and like sit on the lawn, but we rented a kayak to actually get in the river this year. We're going to take James Conner. Overall, I am underweight James Conner, but I do feel like we have a teardrop where any of these players can make it back to us in the 7th, where I don't think we can say the same thing about Conner. So we'll take him. Another running back is definitely in play here, only having Bijan Robinson. So we are completely fine to kind of do whatever. But yeah, we rented a kayak to go do that. I texted, Sal lives in Austin, so I texted him and he may come out as well because he has a paddleboard, which would be fun. Okay. Oh, boys, this is PPR Tyler in the chat. Is PPR Tyler in the chat? Let me ask. Yeah, I would have gotten Judy in round 6 if we got him, but sadly, we did not get that chance. Golden, Montgomery both go. DeAndre Swift goes as well. We can kind of do whatever we want at this pick. I'll take Caleb Johnson. Let me just think. Or we can go Diggs, but I feel like this is not a team that needs Diggs. Team that needs Diggs is one in which I feel like we're a little more desperate for quarterback options. So we can take Diggs, and then we can set ourselves up with May. Here we go, Caleb Johnson. James Conner turns to dust halfway through the season. Hopefully we get a late season breakout for Caleb. And wide receiver, I don't think we're too far behind with Rice, Tyreek, and Devonta Smith. So I'm completely fine going through and taking another running back. It definitely locks us in where at the very most we can only take 5 RBs. Obviously, there's no way in hell we can take a 6th one here. Okay. Mahomes off 83. Mahomes would have been in play for us in the following round, which is one reason why I did consider taking Worthy to pair up with Rashee Rice previously before we pivoted over to Devonta Smith, which definitely Smith was the correct call in my opinion. Mailman says, did you know Devonta Smith averaged 8 points per game less with everyone in the offense healthy? Did you know that the Philadelphia Eagles had the lowest pass rate in the NFL by far last year? And if they do not just boat race every opponent that they possibly have, they will throw the ball more. And also, did you know that Devonta Smith, we drafted at pick 44, and we can compare him to every other wide receiver that went next to him. And despite the Philadelphia Eagles having the lowest passing volume in the NFL last season in comparison to any team, you still had... Oh, we're going to take Pittman here very easily. Pittman's the perfect example of a wide receiver that we give ourselves the luxury to take where we don't care about his quarterback later on because we have Jalen Hurts. And y'all know Pittman at one point was my most drafted receiver. We've had to cool off a bit now that he's risen in price. But yeah, so let's go back to it. Devonta Smith in the most run-heavy offense in the NFL last year because what did the Eagles do? They boat raced absolutely everybody. They're not going to run the ball more than they did last year. And we go through and look at this. 15.3 points per game. DJ Moore, 14. Worthy, 11. Jameson, 14.1. Jalen Waddle at 10. We can go through and go, oh, okay, what if we want to look at the past 2 seasons for all these receivers? Over the past 2 seasons, what you'll actually see is DJ Moore get a bump up to 15.4 fantasy points per game. But Devonta Smith still separates himself from the rest of the names. Look at his yards per route run, 2.11 yards per route run, higher than every other wide receiver of the past 2 years besides Jalen Waddle. Target share, 25.3%, higher than any other wide receiver here over the past 2 years besides DJ Moore. Really the only wide receiver age-wise that you'd expect to naturally improve from that list would be Worthy. Do we go ETN? None of the other quarterbacks are in play. I don't like the Kelsey pick here. Andrews, you go with Lamar. Shaheed's kind of whatever. We'll take Travis Etienne. But, yeah. I am very confident about a few things. And I'm very much willing to admit that I'm an idiot with a ton of things. But one thing that I'm confident for is we are not reaching on Devonta Smith here at pick 44. Who historically has been a third. Okay. Ashton says, Mason, is the 2025 rankings on the site best ball? The rankings are best ball as of now, but to be honest with you, those 2025 ranks on the site, I'm going to be changing my mind. I'm going to be not changing my mind. I'm going to be changing my ranks to just regular 2025 redraft rankings relatively soon. And next year, hopefully we have some really cool best ball tools specifically on the site. But as of now, the site is very much geared towards like, you can use it to look up stats and stuff if you wanted to go through and compare players, or if you just wanted to look at, say, like, oh, I want an idea of Jamar Chase's yards per route run the season before he's the wide receiver 1 overall, whatever you want to see. You can pull all that stuff up on the site. But outside of that, it's mainly geared up until this point for Dynasty and Redraft. Travis Kelce does end up going to the Patrick Mahomes team there at pick 107. Andrews goes at pick 108. Kadarius Toney took Trey Harris over Mark Andrews, which maybe feels like an interesting note. Alan says, when Devonta Smith goes off, he looks like the best receiver in the league. Devonta Smith was arguably the best college wide receiver of all time. Now, that's... I don't want to say the best college wide receiver. He had the best college wide receiver season of all time. How about that? Sir Alexander says, do you ever take players to just deny other people in your lobby from stacks? Let me show you something real quick. This will answer your question very quickly. I could answer it quicker by saying no, but I'm not going to do that. There's 672,000 people in this tournament fighting for $2 million. If I make my team 1% worse to try to sabotage somebody else's team in my 12-team draft, it is the dumbest thing I could ever possibly do. The only thing that I should be focused in on, if I'm going up against 670,000 other people, is how do I make my team the best it can be? There's no reason to focus in on how do I make somebody else's team worse. So no, like, please. And I would encourage all of y'all to do the same thing. And I'm not just saying this in drafts that I'm in. In any draft that you are in that is a tournament on Underdog, you should never make a pick going, I'm going to intentionally try to sabotage this other person and block them from getting their stack. Like, I know it's a thing that people in the chat talk about, like, oh, a team at pick 1 got T. Higgins and Jamar Chase, so I can't let them get Joe Burrow at 72. I have to take Joe Burrow myself at 67 and negatively impact my own team? What the hell are you? Who cares about the team at team 1? You have to beat 670,000 other people in this tournament. So, yeah, don't sabotage your own team. I'm sorry, don't sabotage your own team trying to hurt somebody else's, thinking that it helps you at all. No, all it does is hurt you. Even if, like, hypothetically, you could calculate and you could know for a certain fact that, like, oh, I'm negatively impacting their team by 10% and only negatively impacting my team by 1%. It's like, who cares? You shouldn't focus on somebody else's team. Your 12-team league, sure, I can maybe hear an argument else. Like, maybe hear different perspective on it. We go Luther Burden at pick 116. I kind of wanted to set ourselves up with Caleb Williams. I think we're going to reach Jordan Love. McCarthy's not in play. Yeah, we're going to reach on Loveland and go, what if the passing volume in Chicago is better than people are projecting? Ideal would have been that we go Luther Burden here at 116 and get Caleb on the way back around. And if I was planning on reaching on Loveland anyway at 125, I probably should have just taken Caleb at 116. CPW7 says, is there a link to your draft assistant? So everything that we've been showing on the site, like stats and research related, you don't need a link for it. You can just type in flockfantasy.com. There's probably a link in the description, but it's not a draft assistant that ties right into Underdog. to help you draft your Underdog. If you're talking about our draft guide cheat sheets that you'll be able to use in like your ESPN Sleeper Yahoo leagues, which there'll be a dedicated one for every single platform that we are going to make. If that's not done yet, we're still working on that, and that should be done this month for your redraft leagues. But everybody that I asked when their redraft leagues were, people just got back to me saying that it was either August or September. So I'm going to not try to rush that. And a big thing that we want with those cheat sheets as well is the ADP for the platforms that you're drafting on. So also kind of need valid ADP from Sleeper, ESPN, Yahoo, and we're just not going to get that for a little bit of time. Mailman says, who do you think has higher upside, Rome or Worthy? For me, Worthy, but I could be biased. I'm definitely overweight Worthy and definitely underweight Rome. Ray Davis goes 135. I don't know what we want to be doing here. Ferguson 136. And of course, I have no idea how many likes we have, but if we had 250 likes, we will get in another draft after this one. Rashad White off 137. Dallas Goddard 138. Goddard was for sure in play. Jordan Love goes 139. We could go Lawrence with Brenton Strange, and that's what we're going to do. Doesn't have the same buy with Hurts. We're going to go Lawrence. We get Dimey Brown, Brenton Strange later. Worst case scenario, we have Travis Etienne, which isn't ideal, but we are just planning on using the Jalen Hurts spike weeks anyway in the fantasy playoffs paired up with Devonta Smith. So we'll go Lawrence with the hope to get Dimey Brown and Brenton Strange later in this draft. Okay. Nick says, who has the better prospect profile, Worthy or Rome? For sure, Rome. But Rome's prospect profile analytically is very much contingent on Jalen Polk and Jalen McMillan being good. If it turns out that Michael Penix was just an elite college quarterback and propped up Jalen Polk to being a second-round pick and Jalen McMillan being a third-round pick while they didn't deserve it, then Rome Odunze will look much worse. But if Jalen Polk and Jalen McMillan are legitimate NFL players, then you can assume that the production that Rome had in college was muted because of the competition. And Rome Odunze would for sure have a better prospect profile than Xavier Worthy in that case. Let's move this down, but I would make an argument that Patrick Mahomes is a much better quarterback than Caleb Williams. So let's see. And we're done at quarterback at this point. I mean, maybe we could convince ourselves to go with the third, like super late in the draft, but we're definitely not taking a third here. I think we're good to go Tillman if we wanted. Yeah, we're going to go Tillman. Running back's not a priority. Our running back room is extremely strong with Bijan, James Conner, Caleb Johnson, Travis Etienne. And then tight end, we're going to be taking 3 tight ends regardless. Quarterback, we're done. So now quarterback, we have Jalen Hurts stacked up with Devonta Smith. We have Lawrence for the time being paired up with Travis Etienne. Obviously, we're hoping to get Brenton Strange, Dimey Brown. Running back, we have Bijan Robinson, James Conner, Caleb Johnson, Travis Etienne. Wide receiver, we have Rashee Rice, Tyreek Hill, Devonta Smith, Michael Pittman Jr., Luther Burden, Cedric Tillman. Tight end, we have Loveland, and we'll take 2 more bums later on. Okay. Sir Alexander says, by the way, Underdog is running a promotion of $50 when you enter a $5 contest. I did that, but it doesn't give me the bonus funds. I have not. Where did you hear that they are running that promotion? Can anybody let me know if they've heard that Underdog promotion? That you enter a $5 contest and you get $50 of bonus funds? The Underdog promotion that I saw which if you're a high volume underdog drafter, I would probably recommend you do it. You get, for $220 of entries, you get $50 back. I just entered the slow drafts immediately. If you're only going to draft a couple underdog teams this year, obviously this isn't for you. But this was the promotion I saw. This is the promotion I saw that Underdog was running. Enter 4 teams each, 16 total, into the Sprint Marathon Eliminator and weekly winners by 11:59 p.m. Eastern on Friday, July 4th to receive $50 in bonus cash. Both fast and slow drafts are eligible for the promo. Limit 1 reward per user. So yesterday, I entered into 4 slows of these. But let's move this over. We are going to take Brenton Strange here to pair up with Lawrence. I hope. We better be able to. Why is my computer not responding? Are you kidding me? Did I just lose connection? Oh, you better be kidding me. If I did not get Brenton Strange, I'll lose my goddamn mind. It auto-drafted us Bryce Young. What the hell? What the hell? You know what they say. Ripperoni pepperoni. And I've lost service. Hopefully the stream's still coming through. Let me pull up Google Chrome. Maybe this is a Safari issue. This is ever. Oh, now we're back. And we're on the clock. We still get our guy. But this should not have been a 3 quarterback build, of course. It is true. At least Bryce Young's 5'7". God damn. Okay, here's how this team wins Best Ball Mania. Jalen Hurts gets injured for 6 weeks during the regular season. All the teams that drafted Jalen Hurts and only one other quarterback, they don't advance. Jalen Hurts has a super low advance rate. We advance them because we get to use some Bryce Young usable weeks, yada, yada, yada. We sneak a Jalen Hurts team through, and then Jalen Hurts goes nuclear in week 16 and 17. So, not ideal. Definitely not a pick. Definitely lost connection. But we'll make it work. It could have been a lot better. I mean, could have been a lot worse. Could have taken us. I mean, maybe we would have got sniped on Brenton Strange. Maybe Brenton Strange goes at 172. And then we're just completely screwed. Drew says Team 3 wanted Bryce Young too. What did Team 3 have? Team 3 had Leggett and Adam Thielen. Oh, that is funny. Alan says it's always the teams you don't expect to win to make you money. Yeah, I mean, if the pick does end up winning us Best Ball Mania, what I'll realistically have to do is take down this stream and then all year last year spend the time talking about how much of a genius I was to identify Bryce Young at pick 164 and how I needed him in this draft. We'll either do that or some advanced AI editing to make sure this was look like it was planned. And now you have other teams just having to reach on quarterback because we are an idiot and auto a third when we shouldn't have had one. Yeah, we just really wanted Jatavion Sanders in the 18th. That's what it was. We're good with Zach Ertz here. Definitely can be a 3 tight end build. Let's think. Actually, no, if we went Jatavion Sanders, we're going to take Dimey Brown. Pair up Dimey Brown with Trevor Lawrence, as we discussed previously. And yeah, we're just kind of planning on using the Jalen Hurts, Trevor Lawrence spikes in the final 3 weeks anyway. So the Bryce Young pick may not be that relevant to stack if we don't want to. It's just wide receiver. This is going to be the issue with the team. Like the third quarterback makes it where we don't have enough points at wide receiver. We have Rashee Rice, Tyreek Hill, Devonta Smith, Michael Pittman Jr., Luther Burden, Cedric Tillman, Dimey Brown, and then we're going to take another one. So let's think through this. Rice, Tyreek, Smith. That can be a wide receiver 1, 2, 3. Pittman, wide receiver 4. Luther Burden, wide receiver 5. Tillman, wide receiver 6. I guess we're still going to... No, we need a freaking 5th running back still. We may pivot this to a 2 tight end build. Yeah, because we may need the 8th wide receiver here. No matter what, we know we need another running back. So I'm going to take a running back that I've drafted a ton of. We're going to take Justice Hill here. I think we just get usable weeks for Justice Hill in best ball. I'm very confident about his role. And let me sit here and think, like, could we get away with Loveland and Brenton Strange as our 2 tight ends at 125 and 173? I don't think so. Wide receiver of Rice, Tyreek, Smith, Pittman, Luther Burden, Tillman, Dimey Brown. It's not the worst wide receiver room in the league. We have Nork says, I have on good authority that Tyreek will be traded to the Niners in week 6. Probably be bullish for Tyreek. Drew says he'd take a receiver. Spam the chat. If you did this, if you accidentally autoed a third quarterback when you shouldn't have, and you're light on wide receiver and tight ends, are you going wide receiver here in round 18, or are you going to go tight end in round 18? Wide receiver or tight end? Vinny got auto too. P47W says need a third tight end. Nick says, yeah. Vinny, I don't think it's the Underdog servers. I think it's that you and me are on the same Wi-Fi network. I think that's what it is. Tight end, tight end, tight end, wide receiver, tight end, tight end, tight end, tight end, tight end, tight end, wide receiver. That's tough. In reality, what we need is both. I need to trade Bryce Young for a receiver and then draft a tight end here. Thing is, we do have 2 Carolina Panthers both staring at us if we wanted to pair them up with Bryce. One of them goes. Pixels to say, Mason, will you have anything to link to a CBS league? To be completely honest with you, I probably will not make anything for CBS. I mean, let me know in the live chat right now, is your redraft league on CBS? Or just in the live chat right now, where do you play your redraft league? ESPN, Yahoo, Sleeper, NFL Fantasy, CBS. Where are you playing? Because if we have enough people doing it on CBS, we'll do it. We got Gut out here in the chat. My guy wore the BDGE and Underdog cutoff for some TikToks I made today. I was like, ooh, posting something on TikTok? Throw the BDG logo on it. Have it go nuts. But here's the squad. Again, we accidentally autoed Bryce Young. We should have taken a wide receiver there. It's brutal, but it is what it is, ladies and gentlemen. And let me hop in another BBM draft. Assuming, oh, dear God, this thing again. Safari. I just need to start doing this on Google Chrome. What I need to do is I'm only logged in to Underdog on Safari. I need to get my Underdog password, which I feel like I've changed 1,000 times. So I can. Okay, now we're into BBM draft on our phone. Let me pull it up on the computer so I don't have to deal with the Safari issue. So for whatever reason, Safari will just randomly block my location from Underdog, which again, Underdog has to check that you're in a state that Underdog's in for you to be able to get in the draft. Okay, we're back up. So we got ESPN sleeper, ESPN, ESPN sleeper, ESPN sleeper, NFL sleeper, MFL sleeper, we're ESPN sleeper, ESPN, Yahoo, sleeper, all three, ESPN. Yeah, so really the only thing people are saying that they're drafting on is ESPN and sleeper / and maybe some Yahoo people. So that's the stuff we're going to make the draft sheets for. Justin says, you scared to play me for $100? My friend, you're scared of getting a $500 big dog draft with us. How about that? Okay. Drew says Mason just wanted to bait Vinny out of the draft. That's exactly what I was trying to do. I was just going, how could I get in a draft and not have to draft against Kale and Vinny? And somehow Kale got into this one, but we at least dodged Vinny. We're drafting right next to Draco at 12, but pick 11's exciting. I mean, a lot of people are saying the best picks to get in these drafts are picks 11 and 12. John says, Mason, do you write all these as tax write-offs? Here's what I do. I get the tax forms from Underdog. One, I have a tax form from Underdog from the sponsorship that they pay me. Two, I have a tax form for Underdog of game credits winnings. I send both of those to my accountant, and he does whatever he does with them, and he tells me this is how much you owe. So I could not tell you the intricate details of it because I do not know the intricate details of it, my friend. Okay. Malik Neighbors goes, we will take Amon-Ra St. Brown at pick 11, and we'll see what Draco does at 12. I have plan A, plan B, plan C. Plan B goes. We have plans A and C still left. Plan C goes, so we're going to go with plan A, Ashton Genty. Genty and Amon-Ra St. Brown should be a very unique combo, very high upside combo, and I am very excited to get them. Very excited. Okay. Kadarius Toney says, got your favorite spot, Mason. And they're at 6. I do like 6. I think, honestly, though, pick 11 and pick 12, now that like Genty and Achane just look like such smashes here, pick 11 and pick 12 may be the best. Like, realistically, if I get to pick my spot for the flock league, like I win whatever we do and I get first dibs, it may be hard to, like, for your redraft league, especially where running backs are extremely valuable in comparison to receivers, pick 11 and pick 12 may just be beautiful. Because if you're at pick 11 in your redraft league, you get to go ahead. You get to start Amon-Ra St. Brown, Ashton Genty. You get to start Brian Thomas, Devon Achane. Like, in my mind, it does seem like there's a tier of 14 players for me. If you love Derrick Henry, you can extend that to 15. But if you can get 2 of those top 14 players, that'd be great. John says, do you still lift like you did in college? Nothing like I did when I was in college. I mean, now I did a 100-mile ultra marathon like 3 weeks ago. Did an Ironman last year. Like, I can't be lifting like I did in college and running close to 100 miles a week. Janera says, what's the highest you would take an elite tight end in redraft? So I'm going to, like, with those draft sheets that I'm making, everyone, I'm going to have it like down to the details of your starting lineup and your league size. So I'm going to have it down to the details of like, oh, do you play in a league with 2 wide receivers, 1 flex? And if you just play in like an ESPN 2 wide receiver, 1 flex league, especially like it's a 10-team league, their wide receivers so easy to get later. I think you could take Bowers up at like pick. I think Bowers' comparison to like St. Brown, Brian Thomas is in play. Here, obviously, it's tougher to get those players on Underdog, but in your regular redraft league, they're right there. Okay, I got plan A, plan B. Plan A, plan B. And yeah, you'll know like whenever you get all the... God dang it, I wanted Lamar. Plan B will be Kyron. I really wanted Lamar, though. Drake goes Brees. And DJ Moore, we'll just take Evans. Evans has been a follower. His back-to-back drafts where Evans goes in round 4. I was really hoping we were going to get Lamar here, though. But, yeah, like with those sheets, it'll be very clear of like, click, do you play ESPN, Yahoo, Sleeper? You click it. Do you play in a 10, 12, 14 team league? Click that. And then you go through and go 2 wide receiver, 1 flex, 2 wide receiver, double flex, 3 wide receiver, double flex, whatever it may be. We'll probably just have it as like start 8, start 9, start 7. You click that. And then I'll have how I'm envisioning it for the final product is I want like the 100%. This is the list. Oh my gosh. Team at pick 7 goes with Puka, Bowers, Allen, Kittle through the first 4 rounds. Wild. Wild, wild, wild. But, oh my gosh, I'm sorry I got derailed. But yeah, like it'll be, how I'm envisioning it is we're going to have the ADP of the platform that you're drafting on, my rankings of that individual player, maybe a master ADP list as well, where we average out the ADP from like Underdog, ESPN, Yahoo, Sleeper, combine those 3 averages. And my rankings column is going to be very specific for your exact league settings to make sure you are trying to exploit the league settings for the league that you play in. And then by combining the other ADP list, you're going to be able to exploit the ADP of the platform that you're drafting on. And then going through and looking at the last few columns, we're about to have like a range of outcomes tool that we're building on flockfantasy.com. So I think we'll also put in like the low projection, the median projection, the high projection for that player. So you can see like, is this a low floor but high ceiling option? Is this a high floor but low ceiling option? So you have kind of a general idea of what that player's like. And so you just have that master list. And if you're drafting on a computer or something, you can just delete that column when a player is drafted. Or if you're going to a physical draft, you can print it out, cross them off. Calvin really goes at 55. Yeah, that team at 7. We'll see what they do through the rest of this, but that's going to be interesting to follow. We have a very balanced start, very boring start. Genty, Kyron, St. Brown, Evans. Zay Flowers goes 56. I don't love the options here. Kenneth Walker goes 57, so we just have an extremely flat tier. We can just do another boring thing of running back, wide receiver. Take a running back, take a receiver. Trevion Henderson goes. We'll take a running back, and then we're going to take a receiver. We'll take Joe Mixon. We are underweight Joe Mixon in general. Jordan Addison goes 60. Olave goes. I think if you look at the way the ADPs line up, not a ton of teams will have Mixon and Rome. And at the same time, Rome does give us the extra quarterback that we can be looking at later on, which will be important for our team. But Rome's another player that I'm generally overweight on. I do not love how this draft is going. I loved our start at pick 11 and 14, but outside of that. Let's see. Drew says Kale basically has Mason's team from the last draft. Yeah, Kale goes Bijan, Rice, Garrett Wilson, Devonta Smith, Jalen Hurts. Yeah, so Kale has my team from the last draft, but instead of Tyreek, he has Garrett Wilson. Hood Beaver says do a super flex draft on Underdog. I probably won't. I am very bad at the super flex drafts, but I would say if anybody else wants to get in a super flex draft, now is probably the time to do it. What, are they going to close tomorrow or the next day? Like, the super flex puppy drafts are about to close on Underdog. So if you want to get in, you probably got to now. I'm sure they'll maybe do another one, but Joe Burrow goes 71 to the T. Higgins team at 26. So really like that team at pick 2. Jefferson, McBride, Higgins, Waddle, Chuba, Burrow, and then Montgomery at 74. Looks really strong. Drew says team 10 with 3 rookies in a row. Tet, Henderson, Harvey. Yeah. But I mean, they have some of the studs at the top end, and they can backfill with guys that will produce early on and then have a crazy high ceiling later, right? Parker says, thanks for the shout out. I'm in here at 2. We're happy to have you, my friend. Sheer goes 79. Assuming the Daniels team goes Debo. This is the Daniels team. They go Debo, pair up Debo and Terry. Which I'm not going to fault anybody at all for taking Debo at 80 when they have Terry. I had Daniels. It's another running back and receiver. We go receiver and Baker. No matter what, we need at least one receiver. Swift goes, we'll take Jaden Reed and pick 86. We can either consider our 4th running back or we can consider taking Baker. Quarterbacks, we have Goff, Baker, Caleb, and Jordan Love all in play. Just keep the boring. Let's click the top of ADP start. We're going to do that. But literally every single time we've been on the clock in this draft, besides round 1, we've clicked the top of ADP every single time. Super boring. Have felt like we've had nothing to really fall to us to get excited. No super interesting plays that we could have gone for. Maybe somebody else could have found something I didn't. But wide receiver, we have St. Brown, Mike Evans, Rome Odunze, Jaden Reed. Running back, we have Genty, Kyron, Joe Mixon, Tony Pollard. It's going to be a 3 quarterback and a 3 tight end start. We're only going to take 5 running backs. So we're going to get 7 receivers. So, yeah. This is one of those drafts where we've just clicked the top of ADP in every single one. But first 2 drafts, we had a bunch of reaches. And I liked our drafts a bunch in those. But this one is, I don't feel like we haven't had the opportunities. Braden says, I really need to know why is Genty falling to the 2nd. So here was what the comment section screamed at me whenever we've started putting out videos and a bunch of redraft people have come in. A bunch of redraft people have come in my comment section screaming at me that I can't rank Ginty so high because remember what Bijan did as a rookie. Which, do I agree with that sentiment? No. Just letting you know how people are feeling and what people are telling me. Justin's buzzing. Justin, are you the team at 7? Is Justin buzzing? And that's why this team at 7 happened? Andrews goes 99. Fields gets sniped from Kale, who had Wilson. Ashton says, how's the Clash grind been going, Mason? The Clash grind has been phenomenal because I did not play a single Clash game today. I'm telling y'all, I am being very strict. I am only playing Clash whenever I'm on the Stairmaster or the exercise bike. Today was a super rainy day in Austin, but your boy was out there and we ran 10 miles anyway, just through the storm. It was actually really cool because the lady biked with me. So she was on the bike going behind me as I was running through the storm. But Tyrone Tracy goes 103. Justin says, can I join the stream? Yeah, I just sent you the link to join to your YouTube account, my friend. So just let me know when you're in. And then I'll pull you up on the screen. Make sure your mic's on, though. Let's see. Shahid goes 104. Baker goes to the Godwin team. I would have done a backflip if we would have got Baker here. Bo Nix, we already have Evan Ingram off. Purdy, we have no Niners. We'll go Caleb to pair up with Rome. We can reach on Dak. We can reach on Goff. Which we may do. We're not going to get Goff on the way back around. I'm sorry we're taking this down to the last second, but I just kind of got to figure out what we're doing. Okay, we could go Luther Burden. I'm underweight Burden, but we can balance it out. Oh my gosh. I have no freaking idea what we do at this turn. Bo Nix. Our options later on are Marvin Mims, Pat Bryant. Our quarterbacks, we have Love, but we are going to go with the third quarterback anyway. So we'll take Jared Goff with Amon-Ra St. Brown. Will be boring. We'll go Goff, Caleb. So, yeah, this team's whatever. We were talking about liking pick 11 because what you get at the 1-2 turn. But I really haven't liked anything else that we've been on the clock with. So running back, we have Ginty, Kyron, Joe Mixon, Tony Pollard. Good running back room. Wide receiver, we have Amon-Ra St. Brown, Mike Evans, Rome Odunze, Jaden Reed. Solid wide receiver room. Quarterback, we have Caleb paired up with Rome. We have Jared Goff paired up with St. Brown. Not the best team ever, but it is what it is. But Justin, I've been looking in the backstage waiting room and still not in. Yeah, Madden Mobile was great in high school. I did play Madden Mobile back in the day. The entire tennis team played Madden Mobile, and my tennis coach was obsessed with Madden Mobile. I'm happy to see you. And yeah, I don't think it's a bad start, but I don't think it's special. Henry says, Mason wide receivers valued more at Underdog. Also, you save my Buns team every year. Well, I appreciate you, my friend. And so the thing with positional value on Underdog is in your redraft league where you have a waiver wire, you can go into your draft and you can go very underweight a singular position, right? So last year as an example, I kind of punted quarterback in the flock league and I just waited to the very end of the draft. I grabbed 2 guys that I thought had upside. And then I just played the waiver wire. I think I did the same thing at tight end, play the waiver wire tight end. And so your regular redraft league, it's oh, okay, if your league mates overvalue wide receiver, Well, go get the best quarterback, tight end, and running back room in the league. Make some trades at wide receiver during the season, or maybe pick up a wide receiver off the waiver wire. But if we're all going to accept the fact that, like, hey, this is where these wide receivers go on Underdog, it almost doesn't matter if you think that they're overvalued, undervalued, valued appropriately, whatever. You have to take them. You have to get 6 to 9. You have no other option. So it comes down to, like, you're going to take them. You have to figure out when you're going to take them, when you think that they're the least overvalued or the most overvalued, or regardless what your opinion on the position is. So the easiest explanation that I would have for why wide receivers are so valuable in Underdog is because everybody's going to treat them as if they're so valuable. So you got to take them no matter what. Like, you can't punt a position on Underdog because you don't have the waiver wire. You don't have trades. Could have taken Bo Nix in the last round and grabbed Marvin Mims here, but, there's no part of me that ever wants to do that. We're going to take Loveland. This is the third draft today where we have drafted him. And we have Caleb. Lawrence and Penix both go. My favorite player is probably Goddard. We're going to take 3 tight ends anyway, or we can go Kirk. Let's go Kirk. We only have 4 receivers. I prefer Goddard over Kirk. Again, this is an instance. I think Dallas Goedert can outscore Christian Kirk. You would think, tight end points are harder to come by. Let me take Dallas Goedert. But going right back to what we were talking about previously with Underdog, it's like, who cares what I think on that instance? The fact of the matter is, I need 6 to 9 wide receivers. It's not like I'm going to think the wide receivers are great values later on. So if we get Christian Kirk, 11 picks past ADP, I need a wide receiver. Let's go ahead and let's just pull the trigger on him. Okay. Now let me move this over. So now quarterback, we have Goff stacked with St. Brown. We have Caleb double stacked with Roman Loveland. Running back, we have Genty, Kyron, Mixon, Tony Pollard. Wide receiver, we have St. Brown, Mike Evans, Rome Odunze, Jaden Reed, Christian Kirk. Tight end, we have Loveland. So we're still planning on this being a 3 tight end and 3 quarterback build. Something whatever says, am I just uneducated, or is Bo Nix at 115 classified as burglary? No, Bo Nix there is phenomenal. Like, if Bo Nix would have made it to us at 110, if Evan Ingram was still on the board when we were there at 107, 110, I would have taken Evan Ingram at 107 and I would have gotten Bo Nix at 110. But Evan Ingram was gone. Cortland Sutton was gone. It's not like Bo Nix has a ton of rushing upside. So me personally, if I'm taking Bo Nix, I kind of want to do so if I have a Denver pass catcher. I think Marvin Mims is one of the worst picks on the board. He's a lot better now than he used to be. Like price-wise, he's fallen a considerable amount. I'm not going to fault at all the Bo Nix team to take Marvin Mims at 139. But it's like, if I would have taken Bo Nix instead of Goff, it's like, okay, well then I'm going to have to take Marvin Mims instead of Loveland. Whatever they have, like Caleb and Loveland, or whatever they have Bo Nix and Mims. I'd rather have Caleb and Loveland. Okay, Stafford goes 147. Jack Besh, Leggett off the board. The big Q goes 145, so sadly we're not getting him. And looking at quarterbacks that are in play for us, like Tua, we have no Dolphins. We could go Darren Waller at the end of this draft. Do we want to? Probably not. Young, we have no Panthers. We can go Coker, Jatavion Sanders at the end of this draft. Do I want to? Probably not. Geno, we could go Thornton at the end of this draft. Do I want to? Probably not. Our third quarterback doesn't need to be stacked. We'll take Jaden Blue here. Jaden Blue, I know we made the video saying he was one of my least drafted players and one of the worst picks on Underdog. That's back when he used to go like 30 picks before this, and back before Dobbins and Chubb signed elsewhere. So, if anything, I think he's a better pick now than he used to be, and he's cheaper than he used to be. We're going to take Kyle Pitts. Let me just triple check here. Or no, we're going to take Cam Ward instead. We'll take Cam Ward as our third quarterback. I want a third QB. We're on the turn. We talked about, like, you do kind of have to reach here when you're on the turn, because if not, like, the next time we're on the clock, we'll be pick 179, 182, and that does not even guarantee us that we get Darnold or Rodgers. So if we don't take Cam Ward here, we're not going to get a third QB. I don't say we're not going to, but we'd be lucky to get a third quarterback, and that third quarterback would be either Sam Darnold or Aaron Rodgers. So now running back, we have Ginty, Kyron, Mixon, Pollard, Jaden Blue. Wide receiver, we have St. Brown, Mike Evans, Rome Odunze, Jaden Reed, Christian Kirk. Quarterback, we have Caleb paired up with Loveland and Rome Odunze. We have Goff paired up with St. Brown. We have Cam Ward. We'll probably just take Tyler Lockett at the end. And then we have Loveland at tight end, and we'll need 2 more tight ends. But Cam Ward, we also have the tight end option, right? So that's why I do like last minute panic QB3 Cam Ward. Because 1, I do think he has upside. And 2, at the same time, he does have pass catchers that are available that go after him. Parker says, do you see either the Colts quarterbacks as decent QB3 options at cost? If you told me Richardson starts 17 games, I take Anthony Richardson up where freaking I took Jared Goff, right? I'm taking Anthony Richardson in round 10. If you told me Daniel Jones starts 17 games, I'm taking Daniel Jones where Geno Smith, Cam Ward go. In round 14. So do with that information what you will. How many games do you think either quarterback's going to start? And do you think which one do you think starting in weeks 15 through 17? I have no idea. Deonta Thornton goes 171. Michael Wilson 170. And again, what's good for us is to see running backs off the board. That's the hope that we have, as we are done at RB. And if Bryce Young makes it to us at 179, we're toast. I don't want to say we're that's a horrible way to put it. We're not toast, but I'll feel bad about our Cam Ward pick. Wandell goes 175. Bryce Young 176. Okay, thank you for not making me feel bad. And yeah, we could have got Darnold or Rodgers later anyway. So the Cam Ward pick was an unnecessary one. We'll take Britton Strange. Second draft, we got him in today. We need another tight end. Our only current tight end is Loveland. This is the second draft we've done today where we've had a Loveland Britton Strange combo at tight end. And what am I still looking at quarterbacks? We're done at QB. And we'll go Chig as our third tight end to pair up with Cam Ward. And then we'll just take some wide receivers later. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to pull this around. I actually have an updated list for y'all of running back rankings, like after the Mixon fall, after the Harvey fall, given the signings that we've had there, after we've had with some of the risers based off positive health news. So what I will do right now is let me pull this up on YouTube. I can actually premiere that video if y'all wanted to see those top 40 running back rankings and tiers. Let me pull this up. How many running back? I think there's top 50 rankings and tiers, actually. Top 50 running back rankings and tiers. So I'm going to set that as a premiere right now. And then in this draft, I'm just going to queue up 2 random bum wide receivers. So I just premiered that video. I can keep on answering questions and stuff from that chat. But realistically, it's after 10. I got a big day. I got to wake up early tomorrow to go on a run before meeting. So I will probably call this one today. We're going to draft, hopefully, a Tennessee Titan receiver here at the very end of this. And it's a good team. It's not a great team. I definitely think overall we had some pretty damn good drafts today. Like, other than the Bryce Young auto pick, but what the hell do you want me to do with that, right? I lost connection. So overall, good drafts, good day. Really appreciate y'all hanging out with me, of course. And yeah, we'll be going hanging out in the video premiere for the video that's dropping on the channel right now. The top 50 running back rankings and tiers. And it should have all the updates with all the news that we currently have in comparison to the last time I think we put out a video with all the running back rankings. It was in April. So appreciate it, ladies and gentlemen. And really hope I get to see you over in that premiere right now.